what I found out the hard way with this one is that larger canvases come with pre-punched holes in the plastic. So while forcing and manipulating the paint with a protractor or ruler or whatever I was using at the time, it's having this very Play-Doh effect coming out with paint everywhere. I actually made a big mess. I didn't realize that was going to happen. And now I want to start back this way. Back up there. This piece was the first drawing I did coming into Athens. As I was playing to Purcell earlier, I was just kind of, I didn't have any real purpose to do anything. I would go to class. I hadn't had a job yet. So drawing was where I kind of felt more at home. So that's what I started to do. And this instance of me holding the razor actually came up when I was cutting something for another project. And, oh, I remember, it was I was having to cut photos for a two-dimensional design project. And I realized how awkward I felt holding the blade. I was so nervous about holding that blade because at any time it could just flip over and I would just start imagining the possibilities. And I really felt, you know, very like goosebumpy holding this blade, and I was having to work with it. So the more I felt, I mean, I realized that I wasn't even paying attention to what I was cutting anymore. I was just like watching this blade, making sure I wasn't cutting myself, and I started thinking more and more about it. So I decided, yeah, I started doodling and sketching, you know, holding it and practicing. I was like, oh, I'll do a piece about it, so I could get more used to the idea. And the more and more I thought about it, I realized it was like, you know, some people really do go through depression. They have, you know, some people use this utensil, and that would send chills through me, and like wondering, you know, you always think about it after the fact or something like that, but you never really take much thought of right before they do something like that. It's got to be an intense feeling. So I decided that, you know, maybe mulling over that fact wouldn't be so bad, just trying to get in their head a little bit, but it must be a very intense moment in their life. So I just felt like a good drawing would help me get over my fear. Another underpainting, once again, just playing with the idea, finding the holes, trying not to make too much of a mess. And then this one here is one of my favorite pieces. It was another, don't really have anything else to do, so I wanted to do a drawing kind of thing. And the inscription on the side is something that I had written in a sketchbook a while back. And so I've been working on it for about 3 days straight. I had gotten to a point where I enjoyed it so much that every day I came home I just started right back working. I just wanted to finish it. And the day after I finished it, it actually sold for $400. So that's the most expensive piece I've sold. It was real good to work on my anatomy and how the muscles underlay the skin and everything like that. I wish I'd got to work from life, but it was in fact a flat-to-flat piece. The inscription you can read is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a kind of concept of looking at death not as a fear or something to be dreadful of, but also not, of course, anticipating it. But the fact is that should we have the ability to live forever, to be immortal, to keep going on and on and on, I mean, experience in itself is limited. We're only able to experience so many finite things. So what would eventually happen is that we would experience everything. I mean, given enough time, everything would have occurred that can occur. Thus, death would be the only experience that one has not occurred. So my theory is that anybody that could in fact live forever would become so incredibly bored with life that they would have to find something new. So why not, instead of being fearful of death, just look at it as that altogether. It's just a new experience, something we're not sure of, something we don't know what happens, something that is in fact the exact same for everyone else. Given the fact that, you know, one's death might be different, it's not going to be, at that moment of death, any faster or any slower or any more fun or less fun. It's going to be the exact same for everyone, and we should relish in the fact that it's an ending that no one can ever ruin for us. And we don't walk in on somebody talking about a really good movie that we hadn't seen yet, and you spoiled it. So this one here is just another underpainting. This one is one of the last ones I did. I was wanting to really see if I could give my manipulation a purpose, if I could actually get a picture out of something. So that's kind of what I came up with. And this is where I learned that whichever color went first, I could do another color right under it, and you couldn't tell. It actually went, the pigment stays, I guess, more onto the plastic side. So this black tree trunk was first, and then I did the green, and then I did the red under it. And the red just kind of slides right under it, and you don't even notice it. Same here. Once I'd done that, I went back, and because I'd done these in the same day, and I tried it with this yellow, and for the most part, the yellow did the exact same thing. So, and then here we get to my final project in drawing 2. The assignment was transition, and we were allowed to take it from there. We had some folks do like a 30s microphone to a bumblebee. Size wasn't important, so we had a lot of smaller pieces, but this is the last sheet of paper that I had from this batch, so I decided I'd use it. And I've been doing a lot of figurative work throughout the semester, but also a lot of this pencil drawings. You notice just about everything else is in charcoal, and this is in pencil with these harsh outlines. And that was because I was really, really focusing on trying to master the skill of actually physical representation of a piece of something, because I was working from life with, as far as a life skeleton, but once I got to the muscular system I had to use flat. But just that, trying to pinpoint that exact representation of what I was looking at without having to worry about, you know, the value changes or, you know, where or not the background meets the foreground. So this was really just kind of a test of myself to see if I could pull it off. I remember Russel once, when I showed him this piece, I was asking for some assistance on it. He said, you have to look at the bone underneath. And I was just like, what are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense. You can't see any bones underneath. And then once I started to do that, and after this piece, my drawings of people got so much easier, so much more fluid, so much more lifelike, that I was really, really happy that I spent the countless hours on this piece to get it right. So that's about it. Anybody has any questions, I'm open. So. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Thank you for coming and checking everything out. And there's some of you here are only here for extra credit, but it's worth it.
Yeah, I got a couple things to say. As far as this razor goes, I just wanted to share a few things with you, and then I got a question. I remember this quote from Apocalypse Now where he was talking about how the Vietnam War was like a slug walking across a razor, and that image just really shook me. So anyway, if you're looking for things to shake you up as far as razors go, you can always think of that. The second is your image right here. Something that I thought of was whenever I think about the Grapes of Wrath, all I think about is the men just sitting on their hams, you know, and I just love how curious it is that, you know, those toes are just holding up the whole body, and anyway, it's beautiful. That's one of my favorite pieces that you have. I'm really glad to see it. And here's a off-the-shoot question. You mentioned about selling some of your work, and I was wondering just sort of how you felt about that, because I remember when you were showing over at RFD, you know, like you know, you were just starting to sell a little bit of work and starting to put it out there. I was wondering if your opinions changed on that and how you feel about passing your work out to the world and not just keeping it for yourself.
Oh no, not at all. My opinion is pretty much the exact same. Paper's paper, and it's all on how the emphasis is put on it. So a $100 bill is the exact same weight, shape, and color as a $1 bill, but it's the weight in our heads that matters. And artwork to me this is burned, just like someone I was showing at RFD. Just toying with that fact of even when I see myself starting to get too overtly engulfed in a piece that I do, this is the only one that's burned, also my favorite. So once I see that I'm starting to get a little bit too attached to it, I like to try and add something more, something that can remind me that this thing can just go away. You know? So I burned the sides to get to this thing, and you can see where it kind of took off from me, and I actually did lose control and realized that this is a very, very finite thing. This thing can just fly away, somebody can walk up to it and just smear right down the side. It's just paper, it's just chalk on paper. So, and that's why my pricing is typically just enough to cover the price of the frame.